Yes. Yes, well, hello folks. A very special guest, you can see. Stavros the Spinning Greek is back.
Back and better than ever.
Yeah, so we're making the most of lockdown to post a little bit more, and also to connect with some of the people who we've met online, and particularly to encourage some of the people who we love but who we haven't seen for a while. And Stavros is one of them, and here he is. He's back.
Yeah. It is my honor. So I've always wanted to be a part of these listening sessions. And this is a good second.
It's a good second.
I'll settle for this.
Yeah, I mean, so again, as per the last video, none of us know what the other ones have brought, but there may be some connections, or there may not. But for the basic, the brief was just to pull out some music that's been getting you through the last few weeks, because it's been pretty weird. We were just sort of saying in the UK, I mean, in the UK, there's a lot of people dying at the moment. And the weird thing is we're having the best spring since 1918, when the last big flu sort of hit. So there's this kind of weird thing where the weather's nice, but everything else is terrible. So anyway,
I was on the phone to my sister this morning, and the birds are making so much noise. I was hanging outside. I couldn't actually
hear too
on the phone.
The birds are just, yeah, the first thing you notice as soon as you step outside the door is the birds. You know, not something I would have said a few months ago. Anyway, first record. This is now we can. This is Brian Auger. Brian Auger, the organist, and this I think is the second album by Oblivion, which was the album he put together after he left the Julie Driscoll. Can't remember what the name of the band was, but Brian Auger is regarded as the finest player of the Hammond B3 organ by Herbie Hancock, apparently. And I have to say, this album came out in 1972. It's definitely got a vibe. You can hear it's from 1972. It's got some great soloing. It's got Jim Morrissey on guitar, Robbie McIntosh. Both Jim Morrissey and Robbie McIntosh went on to join the Average White Band briefly. And every solo that Brian Auger takes is just phenomenal. He plays with such passion and feeling. And there's an amazing version of Freedom Jazz Dance, the Eddie Harris tune, on here. But it's just a really groovy album.
Bit of trivia: when the Headhunters all fell out with each other, they recorded 2 tracks with Brian Auger instead of Herbie. Which are turning up on some record, actually. And in fact, obviously Herbie would not have the Headhunters without him in it. So there's 2 tracks with Auger instead of Herbie. With the other 3.
I've never seen Brian Auger, but I remember chatting with a guy in Leeds. There was a gig I was involved in, and he was just saying the best live gig he ever saw was Brian Auger. And that was sort of in the early 2000s. So I think he's still around. He's still playing. But yeah, great player. Stavros.
Well, you mentioned the organ, so maybe there is some. So I've been communicating with you guys and touting these tone poet reissues.
Yes.
So I ordered a bunch of them from Amazon because they're still cheap. I mean, they're $22 or something, even though pre-orders they're $35.
Wow.
So I wasn't going to get this one because I'm not that familiar with Lou Donaldson, but Lonnie Smith plays the organ on this. And with the exception of a love theme from a movie on here, the rest of the tracks are phenomenal mix of jazz, funk, and Lonnie Smith shines on this, as does Jimmy Fats Ponder, who I think was only 20 or 21 when he played guitar for this. And I can't recommend these Tone Poet enough. For the price, they sound phenomenal. You can't go wrong with these. And Yeah, that organ, if you've got an organ player that knows what they're doing, it's a trip that you can't miss. So this is great. If you're getting the Tone Poet series and you're going to skip this one, because I think most people did, don't. This is great.
Excellent.
Nice.
Well, I'm going to go with Tone Poet as well.
Oh.
Yes.
And in fact, this was my Christmas present from Mark, and I forgot to show it at our last face-to-face session. This was actually on the Solid State label, but reissued by Blue Note. It came out as and it's recently come out as one of the Tone Poets. Absolutely classic trio session with Chick Corea, Roy Haynes, and Miroslav Vitus. Now He Sings, Now He Sobs. I mean, they've made quite a few records after as well, but this one is a classic actually, and it's it's just crack. I mean, I really love Roy Haynes' drumming, and he's just out of this world actually. And Chick just sounds amazing. This must have been one of his first records, recorded in 1968. Sounds terrific, actually. And it's another great kind of, as you say, these are just really, really good.
Yeah, there's one track on there where you can the classic. You can hear the pedals.
Yes.
On the piano, like clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely recommend this one.
Well, my connection is that this next record was also a present from John, but it's nothing to do with Tone Poets. This is the new More Trouble Marvin Gaye album. So this is kind of outtakes and bonus tracks from the Trouble Man album, which was, I think it was the album after What's Going On that Marvin did. And yeah, it's full of sort of big funky orchestration. And sort of like, there's a great sort of extended version of T Plays It Cool, which is a really amazing kind of breakbeat tune from the original album.
And it just came out?
It's just come out. It's literally just come out. It's really, really nice, lovely sound. You've kind of got the inner sleeve has sort of the original master tapes and all the different tracks that people were doing stuff on. Yeah, just great arrangements. A real, just pure sort of early 70s funk and soul album with obviously the voice of Marvin over the top, you know.
Of course, they weren't really outtakes because they were actually used in the film, so they were actually cues.
Right.
Yeah. Has it got the Joni Mitchell sleep notes on it? Because
no.
Oh right. That came out after the lockdown, so it actually came out on the 3rd of April. So it was
that's right.
Probably never appeared in any shops. Actually, it's probably gone straight out.
That's true. I saw that it was available for pre-order, and I thought I must get that. And then John gave it to me. So yeah,
that's great.
Really, really nice.
Well, I think if we're talking gifts, I think I included this in the package I sent you guys last year or 2 years ago, and that's this Buddy Miles live.
Yeah.
This. If you want a live funk record, you can get this for $5 anywhere, and it is unbelievable. The first 2 tracks, I think total, the entire first side, they kind of bleed seamlessly into each other, and Buddy Miles as a drummer and then singing on here as well. This is one of my favorite live funk records I have, and you can get it for a song. So anybody looking for live funk, $5 you can get Buddy Miles' Smiling Face.
It's a cheap heat classic.
Buddy as a mountain.
That's right.
He was a man with a big appetite. There's a great story about the Grateful Dead recording an album, and Buddy Miles was in the next studio or something or other, and they had all this catering laid out for when they had a break. And Buddy Miles got into the room and he ate all the food. The whole. I don't know if that's apocryphal or not, but it's a great story anyway.
That's great.
Okay, well, we've lost a great one in the last couple of weeks. This is one of my favourite. I think my other one is Justments, actually. And I mean, obviously, Bill Withers, absolutely classic. And this is one of his kind of, I think, probably his 4th or 5th record in the mid-70s, Making Friends. Very funky record, actually, as well as being very soulful. And I think, it's been interesting, the kind of outpouring about Bill. he's obviously somebody who touched a whole load of people, actually. So yeah, I've been enjoying listening to some Bill Withers in the last week or so, just to kind of remind us how great he was. And again, his stuff's really easy to pick up as well. I mean, none of his things are very expensive, really.
He might be one of my favorite artists of all time. I mean, he's unbelievable. And the fact that he was reluctant to be a singer to begin with, he just wanted to write the songs.
Yeah.
Right. And then he was convinced to actually sing them, and had the career he did and the songs he did. Phenomenal.
We have that in common with, weirdly enough, one of my real favorite things is Donny Hathaway, and he didn't want to be a singer either.
Oh, really?
So both him and Bill Withers, both of them had to be coaxed into singing, didn't they? Actually, which is amazing.
I will plug the All Points radio show because it was a Bill Withers special. I'll do the put the link underneath. But yeah, I have to say I was really sad when I heard Bill had gone. He was such a pure spirit, and actually, you know, from a technical vocal perspective, when he sings, there's no messing around. He's not going off. He's just direct. Really, he sings what needs to be sung, and that's it. And his melodies are so strong, and he's written so many amazing tunes. A real great loss, actually.
See, when these artists pass away, you guys tend to listen to their records next time you guys get together. For me, for whatever reason, I don't listen to them. Because I'm already, especially if I like them a lot, I'm upset, and listening to them just makes me angry. But now talking about Withers, I got to list that live at, what is it, Carnegie Hall?
Oh man, yes,
right,
yeah.
Talk about a live monster of a record. That's I got to spend that. That will be some nice listening tonight.
The version of "Use Me." In fact, I play it on the show, but he opens the whole set with that, and the vibe is so amazing. They stop, and then they have to do it again because they obviously just couldn't stop. You know, it was brilliant. This is something that I haven't listened to for a long time. Mary J. Blige. I don't think I have any other Mary J. Blige albums, but this one, I think it came out in the early 1994. There's a track called My Life, which samples Roy Ayers' Everybody Loves the Sunshine. And it's that the chords for that tune, it hits a mood, which is the kind of mood I've been needing to hear. And almost her version of the song, which she changes the words and the lyrics and has a different top line, is almost better than the Roy Ayers original. But there's some really nice...
Does he actually play on it as well? I think he's actually on.
Is he?
I think he's on there as well. I seem to remember. Yeah. It's a great record. I love it.
It's a great record. She was really. There was some really nice samples of some early sort of soul and funk music that then she just adds what she does over the top. So it's nice. Sean Puffy Coombs. I don't think I've got many albums that he produces, but this is a good one.
I have zero connection to that. but sometimes you just want to listen to. Here's the one good thing is that I can't go to the record store on a weekly basis anymore, right? So instead of listening to all the things you bring in, you tend to start pulling stuff that you haven't listened to in a while. Absolutely. Or things that just, comfort food. And this is the ultimate in comfort food because Paul Simon's Graceland is iconic. It's amazing. And this reissue from 2012 sounds phenomenal. And it helps when your wife likes the music you're listening to also. So she loves Paul Simon, and this is phenomenal. I mean, you can't go wrong with this to make you feel better.
Yeah, my wife loves that album as well.
There's a band, there's a small music venue around here that fits 400, 500 people maybe. And the entire band minus Simon came and played Graceland front to back last year and supposedly blew the doors off. It sold out instantly.
So no connection at all with Paul. Well, there might be a bit of a connection with Paul Simons. You never know. But somebody who had actually started playing, and of course, a few days ago he actually died, which was terribly sad. Which is Hal Wilner. Who's
yes,
from Philadelphia, in fact, of course. He's made a whole set of records where Todd Rundgren described, who's on most of his records, described him as being like Robert Altman, the film director. He basically puts together these incredible casts and they reinterpret people's music. And he did records for Monk, for a Walt Disney record, Thelonious Monk, a Walt Disney record, Nina Rota. This one is his interpretations of Kurt Weill music. Includes people like Marianne Faithfull, who's also sadly very ill in hospital at the moment with the dreaded virus as well. Tom Waits, Carla Bley, Phil Woods, Todd Rundgren, Charlie Hayden, all kinds of different people on here as well. I have to say the outpouring of people, of sadness about his dying has been quite extraordinary. He was obviously a much loved person and touched, I mean, literally across the whole musical spectrum, everything from folk music to jazz to everything under the sun, basically, he was involved with. Yeah, and he very sadly died. So he, born in Philadelphia, lived in New York from the mid-70s and worked with just about everybody. So
how's the sound on that, John?
It sounds really good.
Yeah. As an aside, my wife's uncle went to high school with Todd Rundgren.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he said everyone called him Todd the Clod because he was clumsy, but he showed them. Right?
Yeah.
Hey, well, I've actually got a connection here. It's Todd Rundgren. This is the album Healing. Oh, John's got it as well. This is such a strange album. On first listen, it doesn't necessarily grab you, but there's something about particularly the second side, which is just a whole side of the same song. And there's something kind of very, very hypnotic about it. And I think I may be wrong, John, but I think this album was recorded after Todd was kind of effectively kind of kidnapped in his own home.
And there was a whole there was a whole stuff around the guy who murdered John Lennon being a Todd Rundgren fan.
Right.
He was not in a great state, I don't think.
No, but this is just a beautiful outpouring of healing music. It's healing music. If you listen to it, you're going to feel better.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. Was this in your pile as well, John?
But I've got
okay. So Todd Rundgren, Healing, which I noticed I picked up for £3, which is it's not a difficult album to find. It's not expensive. Huh?
Got a 7-inch single.
There's an amazing 7-inch single in there.
Just to say, there's actually a really good live version of Healing on YouTube. You wouldn't have thought you could do it live, but he does it absolutely. Actually, it's really, really good.
Speaking of healing music, I haven't listened to Springsteen in a very, very long time. I think a lot of his newer stuff is just depressing as all get out. But I hadn't listened to this in, I don't know, it came out in 2007. I don't think I've listened to it since 2009. But when it did come out, it happened to be right around the time I was driving 8-hour road trip to go to a wedding. And this had just come out, and I think I listened to it for 8 hours. Front to back, the whole thing. And at first I said, it's an upbeat album. The E Street Band's back together after, a 9-year hiatus or 6-year hiatus or something. But then when you listen to it more, he's still upset about everything, but he hides it behind some upbeat music. And there's not a bad track on here. And as much as people don't like this and never mention this album for Springsteen, I think it's the last great album he's made, quite honestly. And this has been a lot of fun to spin. I spun it, I think, the most out of any of these throughout the week.
I love Bruce. I'm a big Bruce fan. There's not a lot of Bruce fans on the VC, I don't think, actually.
No, not really. And the weird thing about Bruce was I hated Bruce. And then I turned 30. Yeah. And I actually started realizing some of the things he was talking about. And then living in Philadelphia, I've seen him live 10 times now because he used to play here twice a year. And there is nobody, and I mean nobody, that does a live show like Bruce and the E Street Band. It's like nothing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There was a guy at my school who was from Philadelphia, and this is going back to the mid-70s. And he was always going on about how no one had heard of Bruce Springsteen in the UK, but he was just saying this guy live. And then Born to Run happened, and then everyone kind of...
Right.
I think I saw him in either 74 or 75 at London. He played at Hammersmith Odeon, and nobody really knew that much about him. I think the first album had just come out, and the second one was about to come out. And it was just incredible, actually, absolutely amazing show, actually.
Well, didn't that show get pressed?
It got pressed up, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible live record.
Incredible one, yeah, really, very show. And big influence on, weird enough, on David Bowie. I mean, that's it was one of the things behind him getting into the whole kind of the horn sections and all that kind of stuff as well. Not connected, is it my turn? It is my turn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not connected with Bruce Springsteen at all. But we need some Robert Wyatt, I think, in these times as well. And this is from his album Rock Bottom. Robert Wyatt was for people who don't know, do you know Robert Wyatt? Yeah, because you do. Yeah. Was the drummer in Soft Machine, then left and formed his own band, and then became a solo artist and just produced a whole series of amazing kind of solo records, really, all of which are really interesting, totally idiosyncratic, very kind of British in a way, but also kind of internationalist at the same time. And this is from his album Rock Bottom, which was, I think, the second solo album, actually, after the end of the year. And it's just a great record, actually. And Mark and I had the pleasure of hanging out with him a bit a few years ago, well, 9 years ago, actually. And he came and did an event that I helped organise as well. And he was there as a kind of resident person at it. So, yeah, brilliant record.
What? I'm not familiar with the solo stuff at all. How does it? I'm very familiar with Soft Machine. How does it differ compared to that?
Very different.
Very different. Kind of less kind of much. Not obviously not as drum based, but also kind of very eclectic. A lot of different influences in it. Kind of uses his voice a lot as kind of an instrument, really, as much as he does as a kind of vocalist in terms of singing lyrics. This is just a great record.
He's a great collaborator, I get the impression. He seemed to attract really great, interesting players. You know, he's very, very highly respected, I feel.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He's kind of rocked, I think, isn't he, as well, Rod?
I'm going to show something that's brand new. This is Mono Neon. Now, are you familiar with Mono Neon, Stavros? Have you ever?
Nope.
So anybody who doesn't know Mono Neon, go and just check YouTube. And I guess for about the last 4 or 5 years, he's been posting amazing videos. Initially, him just sort of playing along with other people's tracks. He's a phenomenal bass player. But the last sort of 2 to 3 years, he'll kind of just record a snatch of somebody saying something, and then he will basically create a track on the way that they use their voice and create a melody out of the rhythm of their voices.
On the bass?
On the bass and guitar. They're just really short. They're kind of exceptional. I mean, he is probably, I would say, one of the top 3 bass players around. He's also left-handed. You know, he everything's neon. He's a proper artist. But I think this is his first vinyl release. Yeah. But there's a track, if you go and listen to Hot Cheetos,
yeah, it's great.
I can guarantee your head will be nodding hard, Stavros.
Nice. Hot Cheetos.
Hot Cheetos, Mono Neon. Yeah.
Noted. Noted. As far as bass playing goes, I've been listening to this Harlem Bush music because, you know, Ron Carter on the bass on this is amazing. Now, as far as Gary Bartz goes, what Miles Davis, was it Live Evil?
Yeah.
I think that's where I heard him the first time, and I was not familiar with this at all. But it was at the local record store, and they had both of these releases, Uhuru, and I don't remember what the second one was. I should have picked them both up because this blew me away, jazz funk-wise, with Ron Carter on the bass, phenomenal, and Gary Bartz is great. The first side is one track, which if you can get through the, I'm not a big spoken word guy. Andy Bay's on vocals, but it's what, 17-minute long first side. If you can get past the 5 minutes of spoken word from then on, it really cooks. And it's on Milestone. It sounds great.
That band didn't sound like anybody else at all, did they? They sounded really different.
Not at the time, no.
They played a lot of kind of soul covers as well, which most people weren't doing around that time. Really great.
Yeah, this was 1972, so it was before the early 70s funk. And it's phenomenal. I highly, highly recommend this.
Wow, I don't know.
I got the other one, which has got his version of I Know Rivers on it as well.
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember which album that is actually, but yeah, good stuff. Now, a really weird one, because I can never remember where this came from. This is a box set of Bob Marley. No, I didn't buy it. Somebody must have given it to me as a present. But it's actually great collection, this, because it's not Bob Marley at all, it's the Wailers actually. And it's basically all of their pre-island stuff on one box set. So it's got all of the Leslie Kong stuff, all of the Lee Perry stuff, pressed up on really nice vinyl, actually. It's got a gruesome cover.
Yes. I wouldn't be picking it up on the strength of the cover, that's for sure.
That's a very early 80s cover.
It is very early 80s cover, yeah. And it's got a great selection of stuff. And it's virtually got all of the Lee Perry stuff on here as well.
Oh, wow.
I love that kind of period, actually. So it's a way of actually listening to a whole load of that stuff without having to either get a CD out or loads and loads of 7-inch singles, basically. So
Are you still on a reggae kick, Mark?
Yes,
yeah.
I am. In fact, I'm going to show a reggae 10-inch here.
Oh,
And I've got to do a big shout out to Psych in the Valley. Do you know his channel?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's I guess he's from Wales, and he's a big roots reggae fan, and he really understands and talks very passionately about reggae sound systems, and particularly one called Channel One, who is still around, who I guess they're probably all in their 60s. They're an original UK sound system who are now massively popular with a completely different audience. And basically this is the tune that they, at the end of their set, this is the tune they always play. And it's by the Roots Man, and it's called Only Jah. And it's not expensive, but there's something about this track. It's just a phenomenal dub tune. It's heavy. It just gets you moving. And it's been helping me move through the last couple of weeks. Big shout out.
Sounds like it should be on your radio show on Monday.
Well, it actually was on the show, which I'm going to post under the
nice.
the link.
I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got 2 left, and there's 0 connection. So, one of the VC members that I miss the most is Anthony Camplone, which I'm sure you guys were fans of too. And he turned me on to this El Paraiso record label from Denmark, I believe. That was basically a band named Kaza Sui who started their own label to release their own music and their own friends' music. And Nicolas Sorenson was the guitarist for one of the bands that they pressed. And this is his first solo record. And when you're tired of listening to a bunch of people that obviously don't know what they're talking about on the news, it's all instrumental. I don't have to hear any words come out of anyone's stupid mouth. And it's a great blend of synth, droney stuff, and amazing guitar psychedelia. And it's really languid and it's very relaxing, and at the same time very rockish at times. I highly, highly recommend this. It's Nicolas Sorenson solo.
Okay. I don't know that. Definitely be checking that out.
Absolutely no connection at all between anything. This is a record for Japanese music, basically, and this is of biwa and shakuhachi music. There's one side of biwa is a plucked, kind of almost like a a string instrument with an enormous plectrum, which is almost as big as the instrument itself. You can just about see it on the back, actually, if I put it close.
Oh, yeah.
And the shakuhachi is, of course, an end-blown bamboo flute. And this is, I particularly like the shakuhachi music on this one. And I think if you really want to kind of get a sense of kind of stillness, that Japanese music's fantastic. And this is a very, very nice kind of package as well. So it's kind of, so yeah, I've been listening to particularly, not just this record, but a number of records with some shakuhachi on it as well. And this one was on Le Chant du Monde, which is a French label. We put a lot of what was then called ethnic music, but wouldn't be called that anymore now. Yeah, so
nice.
Turning Japanese.
Great. I mean, this album has no connection with Japanese music. It's and I can't remember if I've shown it before, but I don't think I have. Have I shown this, John? No. So this is Binker Golding. Binker Golding is a UK-based sax player. He put out a couple of albums with Moses Boyd. I think it was Binker Boyd or something they were called. Anyway, this came out last year. It's on the Gearbox record label, which is a UK record label based in London. They have their own studio and mastering facility, and it's all analog. So everything, this is one of the rare, well, you know, the unusual current vinyl albums that comes out where the signal is analog throughout. So there's no digital stuff. It was recorded, I think maybe it was recorded at Abbey Road and then mastered at the Gearbox place. But it sounds fantastic. Features Joe Armon-Jones on the keyboard, on piano, Daniel Casimir on double bass, Sam Jones on the drums, Binker Golding on the tenor sax. For me, this is one of the best of the UK scene jazz albums. There's not many that I really rate, but this is definitely one of them.
I'll have to check that out. All analog. Binker, is that his first name?
Binker, Binker, Binker. Binker
Right.
Golding, yeah.
So as I mentioned, I went through and started finding stuff that I haven't played in a while. I found a record that I bought in 2010 that hadn't even been opened.
Wow.
And I thought I'd crack it open because to me, the two main staples for rock and roll were Chuck Berry and Jerry Lee Lewis. And I saw this from 2010 that I apparently bought that I had not opened yet. And I figured, look at him. The man, he's wearing all black. He has the audacity to have a bunch of underage women.
Not for the first time.
Right, exactly. So I'm gonna listen to some piano stomping rock. And I looked, and it's got all the Rolling Stones on different tracks. It's got Ron Wood, Keith, Mick. There's a track on here with Kid Rock and Slash, Ringo Starr, Merle Haggard. So every track has a guest star. And I figured, okay, this is going to be some good rock and roll. Instead, it's very country.
Oh.
With Kevin Lovelace, the leader of Jerry Lee Lewis's band, doing some really nice pedal steel.
Wow.
And it's very, I've never seen Jerry Lee Lewis sorry about anything. This seems like I apologize for all the bad things I did.
Wow.
And Gillian Welch is on here on one of the tracks. I really don't want to know, and it's phenomenal. But the highlight for me is he does a rendition of Whiskey River with Willie Nelson that is excellent on here. So it's completely opposite of what I thought I was getting, and different than any Jerry Lee Lewis stuff I'm used to. But nonetheless, really, really good stuff. And with all those people on here, it was a great listen.
Gillian Welch and Jerry Lee Lewis, that's a combination.
Right?
She's fantastic, actually. Really.
Yeah.
I saw Jerry Lee Lewis once at a variety. There was something called Sunday Night at the London Palladium, which was like a TV program, which was also like a weird variety show. And they'd have music stuff and magicians and all kinds of stuff. And Jerry Lee Lewis was on there as well. And he had this whole thing where he was playing, and as he played, his hair started to unravel and come down in kind of ringlets in front of him. It was a really kind of weird show. Anyway, zero connection with Jerry Lee Lewis is Arnold Schoenberg. I don't think they ever played. Maybe they did, and nobody told me. But this has always been one of my favourite pieces of music, which is Verklärte Nacht, which is Transfigured Night, and it's kind of there are a number of versions of it. This is a version for a chamber orchestra, the Orchestra Academy of St Martin's in the Fields, and there's also a version for a smaller string orchestra as well. And it's just a great. It's almost like it's based on a story, this piece of music, and you can almost imagine the story as you listen to the music as well. Totally something to immerse yourself in. And this is a recording from probably from the late 60s, no, from the mid 70s.
What label is that on, John?
On Argo, which is a subsidiary of Decca. It was part of the Decca kind of setup as well. But a great recording, great piece of music actually, and one of my favorites.
Great. Well, I feel like we've probably got a good half an hour's worth of chat and amazing tunes. So, let us know if you like having a special guest. We certainly love having a special guest, and it's great to have you back, Stavros. I hope.
Oh, it's my pleasure and my honor.
Excellent. Well, listen, we're going to say bye. We're going to carry on the conversation after this.